Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kyle uses Harrison to win Claire back. The Young and the Restless spoilers note that Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, is spiraling right now. With Claire Newman, Hayley Erin, recently dumping him, after all his lies, and her own pursuit of living her best single life, will Kyle be desperate enough to use his son to win back the girl of his dreams? Harrison Abbott and Claire Newman are close. The Young and the Restless spoilers remind fans that Claire and Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell, are close. In fact, he's sort of the reason why Claire and Kyle started dating. But could he become the reason why they get back together? Before Claire cut herself loose from Kyle, she was summoned to the Abbott mansion so Harrison could see her. Off the cusp of his Italy adventure, Harrison wanted to show off his Italian skills and see Claire, because he had missed her so much. Kyle Abbott is desperate. After the truth came out about his kiss with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, in Nice, Claire got the ick from Kyle. His desperate attempt to turn things around in their relationship, rather than face their issues head-on, only turned Claire off even more. From his weak attempt at a marriage proposal to his jealousy surrounding her friendship with Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, things went from bad to worse in the Claire romance to the point where she felt the need to break things off. But what does this mean for Harrison? He was super excited when he found out that his nanny and dad were dating. Harrison adores Claire, and Kyle wouldn't ban her from seeing him. However, the reality is, he won't be seeing Claire as much as he used to now that she isn't with his dad anymore. Could Kyle use Harrison's sadness as a ploy to win Claire back? Could he almost manipulate his son into being devastated over this news? Harrison has always been an easygoing kid, so while he'll be sad, if he is reassured correctly, he won't be too sad. But, if he is poked at, Harrison could reel. Will Kyle use Harrison to try to spend more time with Claire? Will Harrison reunite Claire and Kyle? Comment below. Tune into the CBS Soap Daily and check out this site often for the best Young and the Restless updates, spoilers, and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kyle uses Harrison to win Claire back. In Genoa City, love, loyalty, and betrayal intertwine in ways that leave fans breathless, and once again, the drama has reached a boiling point with Kyle Abbott and Claire Grace Newman at the center. The latest whispers and spoilers surrounding the Young and the Restless suggest that Kyle, desperate to regain Claire's heart, may resort to using his young son Harrison in a risky attempt to pull her back into his orbit. This controversial choice could backfire spectacularly, or it could end up being the very thing that reignites a flame Kyle fears he's lost forever. Either way, the fallout will ripple across Genoa City and change the lives of everyone involved. The love story between Kyle and Claire has been one of passion, conflict, and emotional landmine since the moment they collided. Claire, a Newman with a complicated past, has been striving for redemption, healing, and a fresh start in a city that remembers her troubled history. Kyle, an Abbott torn between family responsibilities, business pressures, and his own desires, found himself drawn to her in ways he couldn't resist. Their chemistry was undeniable, but so were the obstacles standing in their way. From Diane and Nikki's disapproval to Victor's iron-fisted control, every force in Genoa City seemed determined to test them. And when Kyle's old patterns of arrogance and recklessness began to resurface, the cracks in their fragile bond widened. Now, with Claire pulling away, Kyle refuses to let her slip from his grasp without a fight. Spoilers suggest that Kyle's next move may not just be about words, flowers, or heartfelt pleas. It will involve his beloved son, Harrison, the little boy who is both his anchor and his weakness. Viewers know that Kyle has often leaned on Harrison to win sympathy or to soften others' hearts, but this time the stakes are even higher. The idea of using Harrison to lure Claire back into his life raises dangerous questions. Is Kyle manipulating Claire's deep-seated longing for family and belonging? Or is he genuinely trying to show her what their future together could look like if she chooses to stay by his side? Harrison is adored not only by Kyle but also by Diane, Summer, and even Jack, who sees the little boy as a bright light in the sometimes dark legacy of the Abbott clan. Bringing Harrison into the middle of adult relationships and romantic games has always been a risky move, one that fans and characters alike criticize. Summer herself might be the first to call out Kyle if she senses he's weaponizing their son to achieve his own romantic goals. Summer's role in this storyline could be crucial. She has been wary of Claire, questioning her motives and wondering if her so-called redemption is real. If she suspects Kyle is using Harrison to guilt Claire into giving him another chance, it could reignite their own tense co-parenting battles and put the boy right in the center of a storm. But what about Claire? For Claire, Harrison represents innocence, love, and the kind of unconditional acceptance she has been craving ever since her painful past came to light. Spoilers tease that Claire will be touched deeply when Kyle involves Harrison, but that doesn't necessarily mean she'll be swayed in the way Kyle hopes. Claire has been trying to forge her independence, to prove to the Newmans, to the Abbotts, and most importantly, to herself that she is not defined by her mistakes. If she feels Kyle is using Harrison as a pawn, it could shatter the fragile trust they've been rebuilding. On the other hand, if Kyle frames this move as a genuine gesture of family, Claire could find herself imagining a life where she becomes part of Harrison's world permanently. And that vision might be too powerful to resist. Victor Newman, of course, will not take kindly to this turn of events. The Newman patriarch has made it clear that Kyle is not the man he wants for his niece. Victor's protective instincts could flare up the moment he learns Kyle is involving Harrison. It wouldn't surprise fans if Victor storms into the Abbott mansion with threats and warnings, accusing Kyle of exploiting a child for selfish reasons. That kind of conflict between Victor and Jack would reignite their decades-long rivalry, and Diane could once again be forced to choose between supporting her son or smoothing over tensions with the formidable Victor. Nikki, too, will weigh in. Her instincts about Kyle have always been cautious at best. Seeing him pull Harrison into the middle of this messy situation could validate her worst suspicions. Jack Abbott may be another important factor in this brewing storm. Jack loves his son and grandson deeply, but he also understands the destructive patterns that have haunted the Abbott family for years. If Jack sees Kyle turning into the kind of manipulator his enemies accuse him of being, it could break his heart. Jack might step in to protect Harrison's innocence and Claire's independence, even if it means going against Kyle. That conflict between father and son could shake the Abbott family's foundation at a time when they can least afford more cracks. And then there's Audra Charles, always waiting in the shadows for an opportunity to strike. Audra's complicated history with Kyle and her rivalry with Claire make her a dangerous wild card. If she discovers Kyle is trying to use Harrison to win Claire back, she could use that information to sabotage him. Audra thrives on chaos, and there's nothing she loves more than exposing her enemies' weaknesses. By painting Kyle as an unfit father who puts his child in the middle of his personal drama, Audra could damage not only his relationship with Claire but also his standing within the Abbott family. The emotional stakes in this storyline are sky-high. Kyle is a man who feels like he's losing control of his life, his relationships, his family, even his place at Jabot. Desperation drives people to make reckless choices, and spoilers hint that this gambit with Harrison could be the biggest risk Kyle has ever taken. Whether it pays off or explodes in his face will depend on how Claire responds. If she sees Harrison as a bridge to the future, Kyle may get the reunion he craves. If she sees it as a manipulation, she could walk away for good, leaving Kyle devastated and alone. Fans are buzzing about where this storyline will go next. Social media is filled with debates. Some viewers sympathize with Kyle, understanding that he sees Harrison as his greatest joy and wants Claire to share in that love. Others are outraged, insisting that children should never be used as pawns in adult games. No matter which side fans are on, one thing is clear: The Young and the Restless is delivering the kind of emotionally charged, morally complex drama that keeps viewers glued to their screens day after day. As the weeks unfold, expect fireworks. Kyle's gamble will set off a chain reaction, pulling in the Abbotts, the Newmans, and everyone in between. Old rivalries will flare, new alliances will be tested, and the question of whether Claire can forgive Kyle, and herself, will hang heavy over Genoa City. One thing is certain, Harrison's role in all of this will not be forgotten, and the consequences of Kyle's desperate move will echo far beyond his own love life. Will Claire allow herself to be swayed by Kyle's vision of family? Will Harrison become the glue that binds them or the wedge that pushes them apart? And how will the powerful forces of the Newmans and Abbotts respond to Kyle's controversial choice? The answers promise to bring heartbreak, redemption, and classic Genoa City fireworks in true Young and the Restless fashion. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kyle Abbott is desperate. Genoa City has always been a town of power struggles, broken hearts, and family wars, but now all eyes are on Kyle Abbott, who finds himself in one of the most desperate chapters of his life. Spoilers from The Young and the Restless suggest that Kyle is about to spiral into dangerous territory as his personal and professional worlds collide. Once a confident Abbott heir, Kyle is now teetering on the edge, desperate to reclaim what he believes he has lost, his love, his place at Jabot, and the image of himself as a man in control. This desperation could drive him to make reckless choices that will affect not only his own life but also the lives of everyone connected to him. Kyle's story has always been shaped by his family legacy. Being Jack Abbott's son and John Abbott's grandson has placed enormous expectations on his shoulders. The Abbott family has a rich and complicated history at Jabot Cosmetics, and Kyle has long battled to prove himself worthy of carrying that legacy forward. But time and again, he has stumbled, whether through impulsive choices, fractured relationships, or his inability to balance love with ambition. Now, spoilers hint that Kyle's growing sense of failure is pushing him into a dangerous corner, where desperation takes the wheel and rationality disappears. At the heart of Kyle's turmoil is his messy love life. His marriage to Summer ended in heartbreak, and though they share deep ties through their son Harrison, trust was shattered. Summer has been trying to move forward, determined to protect Harrison from the chaos of adult mistakes, but Kyle can't seem to stop making those very mistakes. His connection to Claire Grace Newman reignited sparks of hope in his heart, but with Claire pulling away and questioning whether Kyle is the right man for her, he is once again left feeling abandoned. Kyle's pattern of clinging too tightly to the women in his life is now threatening to repeat itself, with whispers that he may resort to drastic measures to keep Claire from slipping through his fingers. Adding fuel to the fire is Kyle's tension at Jabot. The company has always been more than just a business, it is the lifeblood of the Abbott family, a symbol of pride and power. But Kyle's role there has been slipping. His clashes with his father Jack, his disagreements with Diane, and his inability to stay focused on the bigger picture have left him sidelined. For someone as ambitious as Kyle, the idea of being irrelevant at Jabot is unbearable. Spoilers tease that Kyle may grow desperate enough to make bold power plays, ones that could put him directly in conflict with his own family. This isn't the first time he has considered striking out on his own, but this time, his desperation could blind him to the potential consequences. The most heartbreaking part of Kyle's spiral is the impact it may have on his son, Harrison. Kyle loves Harrison with every fiber of his being, but when desperation clouds judgment, even love can become twisted. Rumors suggest that Kyle might use Harrison as a way to manipulate Claire, to show her what kind of family they could build together. While Kyle sees this as a romantic gesture, others may see it as a dangerous misuse of his child's innocence. Summer, in particular, will not stand by silently if she feels Kyle is dragging Harrison into his messy relationships. Her protective instincts could explode into a full-blown custody war, one that might leave Kyle even more broken than before. The ripple effects of Kyle's desperation are bound to touch every corner of Genoa City. Jack Abbott, always torn between his love for his son and his duty as the family patriarch, may be forced to confront Kyle in painful ways. Jack has always wanted the best for Kyle, but he will not sit back and watch his son destroy himself or damage Jabot's future. This could reignite old wounds between father and son, bringing years of Abbott family dysfunction to the surface once more. Diane, too, will be caught in the middle. As a mother, her instincts will push her to defend Kyle, but as Jack's partner and a woman trying to keep peace in the family, she may find herself torn apart. On the Newman side, Claire's ties to Victor and Nikki make this storyline even more combustible. If Victor learns that Kyle is leaning on Harrison to manipulate Claire, the fireworks will be immediate. Victor's protective streak when it comes to family is legendary, and Kyle could suddenly find himself the target of the Newman patriarch's wrath. That would put Jack and Victor on a collision course once again, reigniting one of the most iconic rivalries in soap history. Nikki, who has never trusted Diane fully, might use this as ammunition to pressure Claire to walk away from Kyle once and for all. The stage is set for an explosive Abbott vs. Newman showdown, with Kyle's desperation serving as the match. And let's not forget Audra Charles. Always lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, Audra thrives on exploiting the weaknesses of others. Kyle's desperation is practically an invitation for her to pounce. Whether she tries to lure him back into her bed, blackmail him with his reckless choices, or sabotage his standing at Jabot, Audra has plenty of opportunities to use Kyle's unraveling against him. Her involvement could push Kyle even further into self-destruction, leaving fans wondering whether he can ever recover. The tragedy of Kyle Abbott's situation is that his desperation comes from a place of deep longing. He wants love, stability, and success. He wants to be a good father, a respected son, and a powerful Abbott. But his inability to slow down, reflect, and make careful choices has left him chasing quick fixes and risky gambits. Spoilers suggest that the coming weeks will test Kyle in ways he has never been tested before. Will he rise to the challenge, or will his desperation be his undoing? Fans are divided. Some sympathize with Kyle, pointing out that he has grown up in the shadow of a complicated family legacy and has never truly found his own footing. Others are frustrated, insisting that Kyle's behavior is selfish, manipulative, and destructive. Social media is already buzzing with debates about whether Kyle deserves a redemption arc or a hard fall. Either way, The Young and the Restless is delivering the kind of emotionally charged, morally complex storyline that has defined the show for decades. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: Kyle Abbott's desperation will not remain hidden. Every choice he makes will reverberate through Genoa City, drawing in the Abbotts, the Newmans, and even his rivals. Whether he finds redemption or ruins himself completely will depend on whether he can rein in his impulses and face his demons head-on. For now, Kyle is a man on the edge, and Genoa City is bracing for the storm that is about to hit. The Young and the Restless spoilers: Harrison Abbott and Claire Newman are close. In the sprawling world of Genoa City, where family feuds, corporate battles, and tangled romances dominate the landscape, sometimes the most unexpected relationships become the most powerful. Spoilers from The Young and the Restless suggest that a surprising and heartwarming bond is forming between young Harrison Abbott and Claire Grace Newman. This connection is sending shockwaves across both the Abbott and Newman families, with implications that stretch far beyond simple affection. As Harrison and Claire grow closer, viewers are bracing for the drama, joy, and turmoil that will inevitably follow. For Claire, the road to acceptance in Genoa City has been a rocky one. Once shrouded in scandal due to her troubled past, Claire has worked tirelessly to redeem herself and build a life outside of the shadows of her mistakes. The Newman family has extended support, though not without hesitation, and Claire has struggled to prove her worth to the town's toughest critics. Now, in Harrison Abbott, she may have found not only acceptance but also a chance to heal her wounded heart. Children see past the flaws of adults, and for Harrison, Claire represents kindness, attention, and warmth, qualities he craves as his family continues to fracture around him. Harrison Abbott, adored by fans and cherished on-screen, is the heart of the Abbott family's next generation. As the son of Kyle Abbott and Summer Newman, Harrison has become the focus of constant battles over loyalty, love, and family identity. His presence often softens even the hardest of hearts, and now his innocent connection to Claire is stirring up big emotions. Harrison's fondness for Claire could change the way others in Genoa City view her. If an innocent child can trust and care for Claire, shouldn't the rest of the family consider giving her the same chance? That's the moral dilemma now hanging over the Abbotts and Newmans alike. For Kyle, this bond between Claire and his son is both a blessing and a temptation. Spoilers hint that Kyle may see Harrison's affection for Claire as an opening to win her back romantically. Kyle has been desperate to hold on to Claire ever since cracks began to show in their relationship, and Harrison's closeness to her could become a powerful motivator. If Claire is willing to embrace Harrison, Kyle might imagine a future where they form a real family unit, finally filling the void left by his fractured marriage to Summer. But is Kyle allowing his desperation to cloud his judgment? Using Harrison as a bridge to romance could risk not only his relationship with Claire but also his co-parenting truce with Summer. Summer, of course, will not take this lightly. As Harrison's mother figure, she is deeply protective of him. While she may appreciate Claire's kindness toward Harrison, she will be quick to question motives. Summer has never fully trusted Claire, wary of her past and uncertain of her future. If she senses that Kyle is encouraging Harrison's closeness to Claire for selfish reasons, it could ignite a fierce custody battle. Summer will argue that Harrison needs stability, not more upheaval, and that involving him in Kyle's romantic entanglements could damage him in the long run. The sparks between Summer and Kyle over this issue may reignite old tensions, dragging Harrison into the very drama Summer has tried to shield him from. From the Newman perspective, Harrison's closeness to Claire is equally complicated. Victor Newman, always protective of his family name and legacy, may view Harrison's affection for Claire as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it demonstrates that Claire is making progress, proving herself capable of forming healthy, loving bonds. On the other, it ties her even more closely to the Abbotts, a family Victor has long battled. The idea of Claire becoming a stepmother figure to Harrison might not sit well with him, particularly if he believes it distracts her from embracing her Newman heritage fully. Nikki, too, will have her say. While her softer side may be touched by Harrison's love for Claire, her instincts to protect the family will keep her cautious. The Abbotts, meanwhile, are divided. Jack Abbott is a doting grandfather who adores Harrison and will always want what's best for him. If Jack sees that Harrison thrives around Claire, he might extend an olive branch to her despite his reservations. Diane, however, may not be so easily swayed. Protective of Kyle and suspicious of outsiders, Diane could see Claire's growing bond with Harrison as a threat, especially if she fears it could lead Kyle back into a relationship she doesn't fully support. Family dinners at the Abbott mansion could quickly turn tense if Claire becomes a regular part of Harrison's world. And then, hovering nearby, is Audra Charles. The always plotting Genoa City schemer will undoubtedly see Harrison and Claire's bond as a weakness she can exploit. If Kyle grows more attached to Claire because of Harrison, Audra could use that against him. She might plant seeds of doubt in Summer's mind, stir jealousy, or even manipulate Diane into thinking Claire has ulterior motives. Audra thrives in chaos, and with Kyle, Claire, and Harrison at the center of a fragile balance, the opportunities for sabotage are endless. The emotional weight of this storyline cannot be underestimated. For Claire, Harrison's love represents the forgiveness and belonging she has been searching for her entire life. For Harrison, Claire may become a source of stability and nurturing during a time when his family is at war. And for Kyle, Harrison's connection to Claire may become the last piece of hope he clings to in his desperate quest for love and family. But in Genoa City, nothing stays simple for long. The bond that warms hearts today could easily ignite conflicts tomorrow. Fans are already buzzing about this storyline on social media. Many are touched by the sweetness of Harrison's innocence and the way it brings out Claire's softer side. Others worry that the writers may be setting up a storm of manipulation, with Kyle exploiting the bond for his own gain. Some even speculate that this closeness could mark the beginning of a major custody showdown, a renewed Abbott versus Newman war, or even a heartbreaking betrayal if Claire pulls away to protect Harrison from the fallout. As the story unfolds, viewers can expect tears, confrontations, and plenty of classic Genoa City fireworks. Will Claire become a permanent fixture in Harrison's life, offering him the stability he needs? Will Kyle's desperation ruin the bond before it can truly flourish? And will Summer, Jack, Victor, and Diane ever agree on what's best for the little boy at the center of it all? One thing is certain, Harrison Abbott's closeness to Claire Newman is about to reshape the fabric of two powerful families, and Genoa City will never be the same again.